Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you guys are on. I have muted everyone. We've got a lot that I want to cover this morning. Good morning, Charles Sutton. I see you on, man. Good stuff. Utilize the chat feature if there's a question or anything that you want covered in here this morning. But I want to dive right in. I taught a class yesterday titled Newly Licensed Now What? And in this class, there was a lot of information. It's about 4 hours of information that's crammed into a 3-hour CE class. But there are some things that I came away with, and I just wanted to share that with you guys as a reminder. And it's going to be talking about buyers and sellers. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go straight into the actual PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to, all right, so you guys should be seeing my screen right now. And these are the characteristics of sellers, what they want from you as an agent. It's very, very important. We're going to talk about what sellers want from you and what buyers want from us as real estate professionals. I think it's vitally important for us to know what they want from us, because a lot of times what happens is we try to give people what we want them to have, not necessarily what they need or want. A first note that I have underlined and highlighted in my instructor's manual is that every seller has fears. Every seller has fears. These fears turn into objections, and then it's our responsibility to identify the seller's objections and then overcome them. The problem is that seldom are these objections told to us directly. We have to unearth them. And the reason I wanted to say that first, because I believe that when we understand that every seller and every buyer has fears, and those fears turn into objections, but it's our job to overcome something that isn't particularly voiced to us. And let me tell you guys real quick what some of those fears are on the buy side and then on the sell side. Some of the fears on the on the sell side is, I might sell my house for too little, right? They think that they might sell their house for not enough money. The equity in my home is all the money I have. That is a very real fear, especially if they bought prior to 2004, 2005, or if they bought in 2009, 10, or 11, right? Because that's when the market went back down. And so they might think, hey, I don't have a lot of money. The only money I have is the equity in my home. So that could be a reason that they're nervous or a fear of selling. I'm losing my freedom by selling my home. The home has been in the family forever. That's very real. And then on the flip side, on the buy side, it could be like, I might pay too much for a house. I don't have enough money. Once I purchase a property, I won't have enough money to do anything else with life. And then am I taking on too much burden for my family when we get into a mortgage? So we have to remember that these are very, very real fears. And the crazy thing is, we're in this every day, but by us being in this every day, we forget the emotional situation or the emotions that are felt by the buyers and by the sellers. So we want to make sure that we always keep that in mind. So now we're going to jump right in. Look at your screens and you will see characteristics of sellers, what they want from us. The first thing that sellers want from us is to help them market the home to potential buyers. That's it. Now, I do want to add in my information here, it says that 92% of sellers list their homes on the MLS. 92% of sellers list their homes on the MLS. I hope this is not shocking or startling for you guys, because now even the FSBOs, the for sale by owners, are listing their homes in the MLS. They're doing it as a limited service or limited rep listing agreement, marketing agreement. So 92% of sellers are putting their property in the MLS. So the first thing that they're asking or that they expect from us for all sellers is to help them market their homes. Now understand, look at these values. 36 and younger, the millennial generation, that's not what they are asking for first, right? 36 and younger, they're not wanting you to help market, but look at the older boomers. The older boomers, their expectation is, okay, I just need exposure, exposure, exposure. So I can get this to you guys, but I want you to see what else. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. And here we go. Sell the home within a specific time frame. We as realtors, when do we want to sell a home? Our time frame is always now. Want to sell now, 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 now. Maybe that's not the case for sellers. Maybe they need to sell, especially if you're dealing with a family with kids or a relocation or maybe a military relocation. They might need to sell in 3 months. They might need to sell in 2 months to make sure it fits the time frame for their family. Help them find a buyer for their home, help price the home competitively. While all the talk about millennials not using or not wanting realtors, that is false. But look at what their value is. They need our expertise in valuing properties. That's what the numbers say right here, 23%. That's the highest for them. Whereas for the older generation, the older boomers and the younger boomers, there's not as much. And then for the late generation X and the others right here, you'll see that pricing a home competitively, they feel like they can do it more so than anyone else. I do want to go backwards real quick right here. Characteristics of sellers. How did they find you? Here is a very real reality that I want you guys to understand is that 64%, so between referred by or is a friend, neighbor, or relative, or used the agent previously, that means 64% of sellers found their agents through a referral from a friend, neighbor, or relative, or they used the agent previously. That is 64%. And if you look at everything else, so where are you putting your marketing and your efforts to get seller and listing leads? Right here. I say all the time, we have to leverage our relationships with the people we already have, because that's where 39% is going to come from. And the other 25% are going to be from someone that you used already. And then you can look here at the 4% that add up, maybe contact info for sale open house. But that's why we want to get this, and this is for sellers. So if we say how many buyers found their agents from open house, this would be higher. Okay, so just understand what we're looking at there. Now, I want to get into the main 6 characteristics that sellers are looking for. Very important. Confidence level. How is your confidence level? And people can feel your confidence level. Sellers, they can determine how confident you are by the way you walk, talk, dress, by the way you present yourself. That is key. That is one of the first things they look at. Think about it. When you're dealing with, and I know we're always comparing ourselves with the medical profession, probably because we want to seem more important than we are. But if you're a doctor, if you're scheduled for a surgery and your doctor comes in and he says, hey, Joe, I'm excited about tomorrow or about today. No worries. I've done this 1,000 times. You're in good hands. My team and I, we're going to take care of you. Here's an anesthesiologist. We're going to do this and walk them through and says, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I'll see you today. And tomorrow when you wake up, you'll be as good as new. That's going to make you feel good. As opposed to someone that comes in and says, hey, Joe, are you ready? Yes, I am. I think I am. Well, we're going to get through this together. This is my first time, but let's see how it goes, right? The confidence level is such a big part of what sellers are looking for in the listing agent. Here's a major key. Keep educating yourselves. When was the last time that you educated yourself as a listing specialist? And education is not only formal education. This is why I'm always imploring you guys to go look at vacant listings, go look at property and product that's on the market so that we can see what's happening. But I do encourage proper or formal education with the classes that you're taking. with designations, not necessarily for the designations themselves, but from the information that you learn and that you can. Wait, let me go back here real quick. So the educating yourselves, if you guys take a look at the marketing book that I have, that in this book right here, a big part of it is the education and the designations I have, because I understand that that's something that sellers are looking for when they are hiring agents. What I forgot to mention is that 72% of sellers only interview one agent before they list. 72% of sellers interview one agent and then they list with that agent. So we have to get to the table first. Get to the table first. And that goes even, well, that number goes down slightly with expireds because then expireds will interview two or more agents, but two, but not more than three, because of the experience they had with the first one. But 72% of sellers will list with the first agent. So keep educating yourself. Respect, integrity, ethics, and honesty. That's something that sellers are asking for. We think this is commonplace, but all this means here is that you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. It's that simple. If you tell a seller, I'm going to get you a professional opinion of value or a CMA in 4 hours, get it to them in 4 hours. If you can't do that, then don't do that. My suggestion to everyone is under promise, over produce. Under promise, over produce. Yes, Joe, I'll be glad to get that information to you by tomorrow morning. And then I know that I'm going to get my butt home tonight, type it up, get that information over to them. Under promise, over produce. Because the more times you execute or you deliver on what you said you would, the more respect, integrity, honesty, and ethics they perceive you as having. They want someone with a social network. Now, the social network, we are not talking about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all that. Sellers want an agent who is connected socially. That means that they know what's happening in the neighborhood, or they know a lot of other real estate professionals in the industry. Why? So that is one of the things that I'm always telling people. The reason you should work with me on the listing is because I am connected. I'm socially connected, and you're just going to get more exposure. And I'm going to find out from other agents who have buyers looking. I'm going to contact them directly. So that's something that they're asking for at a very high level. They want someone who is connected socially. Negotiate to now on here it says negotiate to win-win. The reality is sellers and our clients don't care about the win-win part. They just want to the first win. They want to make sure that they're on the winning side. But the reason we care about a win-win is because in our industry, there are only really a handful of agents doing consistent business. And I hope you guys understand that. If you look in the MLS, if you look at the number of transactions, the majority of the transactions that are actually being closed and listed are the same handful of agents. So it's not 50,000 Miami realtors that's doing that. It's 3,000 to 4,000. I was stretched to say 5,000 agents who are doing consistent business. So we want to have a win-win in negotiation, because we're going to see these agents on the other side of another transaction, very likely. Now, why is this important to sellers? Well, they want to know that you're acting on their best behalf. Now, this, once again, is if you're a single agent and not a transaction broker. That's a whole different teaching when we start talking about brokerage relationships. Now, if one of the key tips to, or two of the keys to negotiating to win is first listening to what the other side is saying, and then being able to unearth what they really want to gain out of the transaction. That's the first part. The second part is creativity. In order to be a great negotiator, you must be creative. If you don't think you're creative, you have to change that thinking immediately, and you have to become creative to say, how can we negotiate and make this a win-win for both sides, or all sides, all parties involved in the transaction? So that is key as well. The next one, This is key. I know that if you guys have worked with any listings, you are familiar, you do understand the need for or the request for communication. Most sellers, their biggest complaint when they with their first agent or with the agent they use to sell their home or list their home, even if it didn't sell, is that the agent listed my property and I never heard from them again. I suggest that you all have a scheduled or a usual contact time for all your clients, not just your sellers, but also your buyers. For instance, mine is a Thursday. On every Thursday, I reach out to my sellers and I'm giving them an update of what's going on. On every Thursday, I'm reaching out to all of my buyers and I'm giving them an update of what's going on. Why do we do this on Thursday? Simply because if there's an issue on a listing and under contract or a buyer side contract, if there's an issue, if we get that issue addressed or identified on Thursday, more times than not, we can do something to move in the right direction on Friday and get it resolved before the weekend, because we don't want issues or problems carrying on through the weekend. So those are the 6 factors that sellers are looking for in a listing agent. And I have one last term here underlined, and I want you guys to really take this note into your heart. So bury this deep in your heart. We get paid to remain calm when everyone else is not. That's why we get paid. We get paid on the listing side to remain calm when everyone else is not. Okay, so now what I want to do, well, let me ask you guys, I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to stop the share. Well, no, let me ask, any questions, comments, concerns from anyone? If so, go ahead and chime in. No? Hearing none, we are going to continue. I tell you what we'll do. We're just going to go straight into, the 4-step listing process. Should we do the 4-step listing process? No, we're going to go into the buyer side and see what buyers are looking for, and then we will come back to the listing process. So the art of working with buyers, I believe that right now everyone is working with a buyer or a tenant, and it's important, just like for sellers, to know what the sellers are looking for. It's important to know what buyers are looking for or expecting out of us as well. No difference here than sellers. The first thing, they want someone with character. This means doing what you said you're going to do. One of the biggest complaints that buyers have for sellers, we know, is lack of communication. The complaint that buyers have is that they sometimes feel, or the most complaint is that buyers feel that an agent pushed them into a more expensive house than they wanted to purchase. And why would a buyer feel that way? Because a buyer understands that we as agents, we get compensated based off of the sales price. So the higher the sales price, the more money we make. So a buyer's feeling is that many times we are getting, or they're getting pushed into purchasing higher properties than expected. So make sure that we're always guarding our hearts and that you're guarding your minds and the properties you're showing your buyers. And it's not just for our best interest, but in the best interest for them and their futures. Respect, integrity, honesty. Once again, if you say you're going to do something, this is a very big deal when it comes to sending information to them. If you tell them you're going to send information to them, make sure you get that information to them before the deadline that we promised. All right. The next thing, neighborhood specialists. We cannot be all things to everyone. Buyers are wanting to know, and while they do care about you being a global or an international specialist, yes, that's good. But I want to work with someone who specializes in the areas where I want to buy. Do they know what the schools are like? Do they know, how far Publix is? Now, while you don't have to know everything, you should at least have resources that you can give to them that show them that you know how to get information and that you're skilled in your craft Now, when we talk about neighborhood specialists, I do want to warn a couple things that we very seldom, I dare say, never do. We never want to discuss houses of worship, right? So we don't say, oh, it's close to a house of worship. While that's common practice, especially here in South Florida, that is also one of the violations if you look at your code of ethics. We don't want to discuss crime rates. We don't want those words coming out of our mouths or talk about the level of crime or whether it's a good or bad neighborhood based on crime. Instead, we just invite or encourage our buyers to Google the city and crime rate and let them get that information on their own. And so same thing with if they're asking about houses of worship. And now I just ask everyone, hey, well, what's the crime rate here? I'm glad you asked. The best thing that you can do is just Google Hollandale crime rate, and then all the information, more information than you could ever want will pop up. Because what we don't want is we don't want to tell our buyers that's not a good neighborhood. The buyer does not purchase that property, sees the listing agent at Publix 3 months later, says, oh, hey, yeah, I remember you showed, oh, yeah, I really liked the house, but Neil told me that the crime was horrible over in that area, right? We have to understand that we are, as Sean, as Yubi found out yesterday, we are so close. The world is so small, right, that we want to make sure that we're always having integrity, respect, and that we're doing things the right way. And so make sure that we're not giving out that information about neighborhood when it comes to specialists. Follow through. Do what you said you're going to do once again when you say you're going to do it. This is a huge, huge, huge deal. We cannot be consistently late with delivering anything when they ask or when we promise we're going to give it to them. And follow through leads to the next one, which is organization. This is why I ask and I suggest that we all use Form Simplicity, because Form Simplicity and the Matrix MLS allows us to be organized. It allows us to keep track of what's happening with our buyers. It allows us to keep track of the properties they like, the ones they don't like, the notes that we put in. Otherwise, you could be with a buyer and say, hey, Joe, did we see 123 Main Street yesterday? And he was like, yes, we did. And then you'd be like, okay. And then you get home and you don't recall because you didn't put any notes anywhere. And then you say, ooh, here's 123 Main Street. I like it. What do you like it? And Joe's over there thinking, man, I said I didn't like that property because it backed up to a freeway, something like that. So make sure that we're organized. It does make us appear more professional. Here's one that's tough for us all. A good listener, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but you guys will become therapists. You guys are unlicensed divorce attorneys. You guys are psychiatrists, psychologists, all while being a real estate agent. But here's what agents want from us. When we say good listener, it says buyers don't want an agent to assume they need something just because they heard them say this. So if they say, hey, yes, you know what? I love pools, be like, oh no, I love the water. If you hear a buyer say, I love the water, that does not mean as an agent, you automatically assume that they want a pool at their house, right? Part of it is making sure that we listen. And a big part of listening here that's underlined and highlighted in my manual is just stop talking. So we want to stop talking, listen to what our buyers are saying, let those pauses, let those quiet spaces fill your conversation until the buyer knows and understands that you understand what they are looking for. All right, so I'm going to stop the share there. I am unmuted. What do you guys have? What questions? Go ahead and shoot away, fire away. And if nothing, then I have a spot where we'll jump back in really quickly. Anything from anyone? Go ahead and unmute and talk. All right.
Neil.
Oh, yes.
Thank you again this morning for this call. And I'm thankful for you bringing this information to us. And I agree with you 100%. Dealing with buyers or sellers, we really have to allow the client to let us know what their goals are, and we be great listeners, so we won't assume anything, we won't interject our thoughts and our feelings on what their goals are. So the fact that you said that this kind of reinforces some things for me, uh on how uh listening being very vital in a relationship with your client. So thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. All right, here we go. We're going to rock and roll right into another portion, and hopefully, you guys will find value in this. Now, this is, I forgot to share with you guys. There we go. Can you guys tell that that's not what I wanted to do? I wanted to come up here. There we go. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. The four-step listing process. Four-step listing process. This is actually the process that I utilize. Now, really quick, I want you guys, because we're going to go through this quick, but I want you guys to understand the four-step listing process is what I utilize. This is not the process that most agents in South Florida use. Okay, this is not the process. And the reason being, the four steps of the listing process, we're going to just say the first thing. The first one is choose the right listing. Every listing is not a good listing. Every listing is not a good listing. Understand this. If you are in a neighborhood and the properties are selling at X% and they're selling in 30 something days, and the seller that you have, now understand, now this is my opinion, this is Florida Realtor's opinion. A lot of people are saying that every listing is not a good listing. But then you have some agents say, I take every listing and I want to be there when the seller decides to either reposition the property, or I want to be there when the market shifts. I don't believe that. I do believe that a bad listing can hurt your reputation just as much as a good one can help it. So do you want to be known for listing overpriced properties that come off the market unsold? And then when I come into your presentation or your appointment behind you, then, oh, well, just ask them what their closing rate or percentage is for the listings they have, days on market, all that type of things. Or I can just show in the MLS that information. So choose the right listing. That's the first one. And here's why this is not the method that most listing agents use. So the first one is choosing the right listing. That's fine. But here's why. The four-step listing process requires a 15-minute interview. So this is an in-person interview where you're going to the property, and this is a two-part listing presentation. So first, you go to the property. You're probably only going to be there 15 minutes. This is when you come into the property. You're going to look at the property, do your walkthrough, have a quick conversation or interaction with with the seller, so that you can get some vital, valuable information. And you would say, well, Neil, why would I do 2 trips to the property? The first one is you want to know about the property. You want to actually see the condition of the home. You want to see the finishes, because we try to do all this over the phone, because we as agents, we want to go out one time, have the consultation, do the 15-minute, walkthrough or seller interview at the front, and then continue with the presentation and the CMA. Now, once again, I don't do it the one way. I do it this way, and that's actually outlined in my marketing book. I tell them, hey, I need 2 visits. The first one, I'm going to come tour your home. It's probably going to take 15 minutes. And then I'm not going to bring a CMA. I do not bring a CMA, comparative market analysis, or as I call it, professional opinion of value on my first visit. And the reason being, and I'm always asked, well, am I going to get a CMA? Are you going to tell me how much my home is worth? No, I am not, Mr. Seller. Much like a doctor, how can I prescribe? How can I give you a prescription or a diagnosis if I haven't gone through and found out what the symptoms are? And after the 15 minutes, I'm going to leave them with my book. I'm going to say, hey, make sure you don't sign with anyone. I can come back tomorrow. I can even come back later today if we did an appointment in the beginning. But here's why. I know the way realtors work. Realtors are going to come and they're going to look at your property. They're going to tell you that they've actually seen or that they've digested that information. But the reality is they came into your house, Mr. Seller, didn't give it the respect that your home or you as a seller deserve. How do I know that? Because they had an idea on how much your property was going to be worth before they walked in and saw your home. How do I know that? Because they already brought a CMA. They already brought a comparative market analysis. Now, I'm sure if I'm the second, third, or fourth agent that has visited you, how many other agents are making more than one trip to your home? How many other agents knew in their mind how much they felt your property was going to be worth even before they felt the love inside the property? So these are things that when we know what the obstacles or challenges are that we're going to face, we can go ahead and address those up front. So, and that's how I do my 15-minute interview real quick. Preparing the CMA. Zillow said my house is worth, listen to your realtor, right? So right here, this is where I come in, and now that I've visited the property and I've actually seen the property with RPR, with the MLS, with Cloud CMA, all these tools that we have access to, you should be able to do a really, really good CMA as long as there are some like close comps, as long as there's some, well, we don't say comps, we say relevant properties. As long as there are a few relevant properties, relevant sales, and some pendings, actives, expireds, you should be able to do a professional opinion of value in most cases in under 10 to 15 minutes. If you can't do a CMA in under 10 or 15 minutes, you need to go in and refine your valuation skills. And then prepare for the listing presentation. Role play. I can tell you right now, there's not enough role play going on the team. There's not enough role play going on in the industry. You can never role play enough for a listing presentation, because when the lights are on, that's when we are practicing, and that's when money is on the line, and that's what we're missing. So make sure that you guys are role playing, and then show up to your listing appointment, to the marketing consultation. Show up with a marketing consultation listing agreement signed or filled out already. So I type most of my things in the blank. The marketing agreement that I use and that I ask you guys to use is on Form Simplicity. No, I'm sorry, not Form Simplicity. It is in the Google Drive. It is different from the others. It is 4 pages. It's really, really, really good. It chooses us as a single agent with consent to transition to a transaction broker. It gives you the tiered commission structure. I go ahead and I type mine in, but the fewer blanks, the fewer things that they perceive as negotiable. But I show up with it filled out, property address, seller's name. Well, Neil, what if they don't sign? That's not an option for me, right? The only thing that's left blank is going to be the type of whether they choose gold or bronze, silver, or gold program, because that's the way the tiered structure that I use and that I've made available to you guys. Or I don't put in the list price, the marketing price. Other than that, almost everything is going to be filled out. The cancellation verbiage in there that they can cancel, because I want them to see that this is a system, this is a process, this is the way that I always work. And then more times than not, they're going to say, okay, so what do my name is in? We need to talk about the price. We need to talk about how long we're going to market the property, and then any other small changes, and which version or which compensation plan they're going to choose. So that's the four-part listing presentation. Choose the right listing, 15-minute interview, prepare the CMA, and then practice or prepare for the listing presentation, and then actually execute. So I'm going to stop my share there. All right, with that being said, any questions, comments, concerns, please take it away right now. Go. All right, 30 more seconds. Actually, 10 more seconds. Any questions?
No questions over here.
Man, you just wanted to talk. Charles just wanted to say something, guys. Charles is on the call. He like, man, I'm gonna do everything I can. He just want to talk. He flipping his camera left and right. It's okay. We love you, Charles.
I thought that was the Hot 105 MC about to break out something right there with Charles coming in with that.
Okay. Nothing right here. All that 5 head. Nothing right here. Okay. Quit playing. All right. Anything else from anyone else? All right, this video will be up later today, guys. Go in. I challenge you guys, dive into the YouTube. There's a lot of stuff in the YouTube channel that is going to be beneficial to you guys. I'm putting in Sean was telling me about videos that I have forgot I put in there that's just loaded with information. And that's going to be go in the World Renowned Family part, go into the agent training part, the playlist, lots of information in there. This will be the main thing here. Remember what sellers are looking for in a listing agent. Remember what buyers are looking for in a buyer specialist, and then know and practice and hone your 4-part listing presentation. And now, if you don't want to do the 4-step listing process, then figure it out, figure out what works for you, and then practice and implement something. Don't forget, 72% of sellers list with the first agent they speak to. 64% of sellers came to people either through referral from family, friend, neighbor, or they worked with you previously. So make sure that you're hitting your sphere. That's why you guys hear me say all the time, reach out to the people that you already know that you have influence over in person if you can, phone calls. I'm doing a lot of video messaging and getting crazy responses back in my phone. So on my phone and on Facebook, utilize Facebook Messenger, hit everyone in your Facebook Messenger. If you have 5,000 friends, send 5,000 videos. Hey, what's up? Just wanted to check in, see how your 2019 was going. We started Q2. What are you doing this quarter to make 2019 the best year ever? Talk to me soon. Bye. That's it. I'm hitting every single person. So 30 is the minimum number of videos, not counting the phone calls, the note cards, and the pop buys I'm doing. So 30 videos are what I'm doing every day to my sphere. On top of the videos, I'm trying to do 15 Facebook videos. So that's the way I'm prospecting. I'm going in, even other agents, other professionals out of area. I've got 30 videos from my phone, 15 Facebook messages, note cards, and then my follow-up phone calls and the pop buys when I'm in areas. A lot of stuff, but then I know where 64% of the business is coming from. I'm not too worried about trying to gain somebody or catch someone with something that's just out of the blue on social media, right? It's intentional. All right, guys, that's it. It is a beautiful Thursday here in South Florida. Take advantage of it. Get out, look at some properties, look at what's going on in the marketplace. Shoot some videos, get them uploaded, do some video messages to your clients, your sphere, friends. That's it. Love you guys. Take care. Have a fantastic day. This video will be up tonight. Bye.